Breaking tonight, millions of federal workers facing the choice: get vaccinated or submit to regular COVID testing, masking, and social distancing. And by the way, who pays for the testing? Well, millions more tonight, looking for concrete answers from the Biden administration, as new data shows those so-called breakthrough cases of the fully vaccinated may not be so rare after all. Our panel is standing by live to help separate the science from the politics. Plus, no vaccine, no service. More restaurants, hotels, and other businesses across the country are asking customers to show proof of vaccination. Will it drive any customers away? And what about the employees now forced to be the enforcers? Well, Fox News at Night investigates that. But we begin with President Biden today spearheading the federal government's not so subtle anymore push to get more Americans vaccinated. White House correspondent Kevin Corke has the latest tonight. Good evening, Kevin.
Evening, Shannon. Now, first of all, it is really important to point out that the CDC only offers guidance, not mandates. And given the wide berth of offerings from the agency during the pandemic, to say nothing of its frequent policy shifts, the very idea that the administration is now pinning its policy hopes on an office known for being overly cautious is, depending on your perspective, either bemusing or bewildering. And now millions of federal workers are going to feel the impact.
Every federal government employee will be asked to attest to their vaccination status. Anyone who does not attest or is not vaccinated will be required to mask no matter where they work.
It was expected, and yet it still landed like a punch. News that the Biden administration will now require all federal employees to be vaccinated against COVID-19 or face weekly or twice weekly testing, as well as mask mandates and distancing rules in the workplace. According to the new rules, all federal employees not only have to declare their vaccination status, unvaccinated workers would be required to submit to twice weekly COVID testing and not be allowed to travel for work. Meanwhile, all veteran affairs healthcare providers will need to be vaccinated. Ditto for federal contractors, and masks are now mandatory at all federal buildings. Biden is also directing the U.S. military to look into how and when it might add COVID-19 shots to its list of required vaccines for troops stationed around the globe.
You know, it's funny how at first they build you up and they keep you on one side of the argument or the war. And then, you know, they want you to, choose a side forcefully. And then once you do, you're on that side and you got to stick with that side. And now you're part of that war argument or narrative to be opposed to the other side. And then they have to throw the military thing in there, you know, just marching orders, you know, march on our orders. And the prime example is the order followers that they want you to, be like, which is the military and the police and authority. They're order followers. Without critical thinking, they just do what they are ordered to do without ever thinking about if what they're doing is right or if it's, offending anybody else. So they throw that in there as well, psychologically, as the example of how they want you to conduct yourself. It's fucking bullshit.
This is particularly important because our troops serve in places throughout the world, many where vaccination rates are low and disease is prevalent.
The new directives are by design meant to encourage more vaccinations by making life increasingly difficult for those who refuse the shots. While some corporate giants like Google, Facebook, and Morgan Stanley are imposing vaccine requirements on their returning office workforces, the Biden plan is drawing fire from some labor unions, many of which don't think their workers' livelihoods should depend on getting the shots. The American Postal Workers Union, for example, says it's not the federal government's role to require vaccines, while the Professional Managers Association, which represents many IRS managers, points out that the vaccines themselves still aren't even fully approved by the FDA. Very interesting there. Now, the Biden pivot comes amid a real stall in the COVID-19 vaccine campaign, with roughly half the U.S. population, about 49%, already vaccinated. Clearly, that is well short of the 70% plus that scientists recommend. Now, the Biden administration is also imploring governors around the country to consider giving $100 to those who get vaccinated and promised that the government will reimburse employers who let their workers take a little time off to perhaps get the shot or maybe even bring family members to vaccination sites, which means your tax dollars will help pave the way for others to get vaccinated, Shannon.
Tax dollars are already paving the way for others to get vaccinated. That's how these vaccinations get paid for. And you want workers and family members to receive $100 measly to get the vaccination? I mean, what a joke. Really? Come on, people. Like, I'll pay you $100 to get it, but the American people are gonna pay back trillions and trillions of dollars in interest to continue to pay the national debt. I mean, what a fucking joke. And also, just go ahead and trust what the scientists say. Trust the experts. Don't do your research. Just trust what they say and do it and get a tiny infraction of an incentive to get it. And then don't worry about anything else. We got you covered because this is for your benefit. I mean, come on, guys. This shit is ridiculous. It's fucking absurd.
Okay, so Kevin, more states and cities, including right here in Washington, now re-implementing indoor mask mandates. Situation on Capitol Hill escalating today after police there were apparently vested with the authority to arrest visitors and staff who refused to put masks on. What is going on in our nation's capital, Kevin?
Just crazy stuff. I mean, you wake up and you read the headline that we're all going to be having to wear masks indoor here in Washington, D.C. When you consider the relative paucity of those who've actually died from the vaccine.
So they're invested with the authority to make you wear a mask in any federal building or any other, business facility. And did he just say that people died from the vaccine? But here's the thing, guys. This shit's all a joke. It's all polarization. And it's all fucking manufactured. It's all theatrics, especially through these networks, the FOX, how they do this. And they gain control every day when you sit in front of the dumb tube and listen to what they're saying. And they're also sending flashes to the subconscious mind to get you to appropriate yourself and engage in what they're talking about. What they're talking about is total confusion, causing you to pick one side or the other and mistaking one thing for another. Truth is simple. It's the lies that get complicated.